So the lottery with the head coach Tracy Claeys. I'm Justin Gaard from KFAN Radio and sideline reporter for the Gopher Radio Network, and we're glad that you joined us here on Facebook Live. A reminder that this show is not for us, it's for you. Out there watching, out there streaming us, wherever you may be watching from. We want to hear from you. Our second segment, we're going to have time to take Facebook Live questions, so put them in the comment section now. We'll go through them and get to them in our second segment of the show. Coach, it's good to see you. I have to imagine, as you looked at the tape yesterday, there was a lot to like in a 30-point victory.
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of good things. Definitely, even though the opponent wasn't a power conference opponent, but we did things much better, which you want to do no matter what. Still disappointed in the pre-snap penalties, especially that's not the way you design the first drive of the game, where you go down and get yourself in a bind because the penalty. Mitch threw the ball well, we caught the ball well, and protection was good. They blitzed us about every snap, and we picked it up on the protection, a lot of the running game, and so I thought the offense continued to move forward, and anytime you can score that many points, it's always good.
You were able to get away with those pre-snap penalties on that first drive, as you mentioned, because Mitch had a pretty good day. Yeah. I think there were 3 third-and-long situations, 10-plus yards where he converted. He seemed to have everything working yesterday. What did you see?
Yeah, same thing. He was on top of his checks. They'd done some things that was similar to the first game that we played, what we did, but we've had film now, and anytime you get a current film, it gives you a better idea and a better chance to prepare. And then he continued to move the ball around to people. Drew caught some big catches, and you want your seniors to play well, obviously, but still, Tyler gets his first touchdown catch, Brian Smith gets his, and move the ball around a lot. And I still think that's going to pay off the most, to not get locked in on one single receiver and give the ball to who's ever open.
After the game, Mitch mentioned it almost felt like he didn't play a game because he only ran the ball 3 times and he didn't get sacked for a second straight game. You remember what he was like after games last year, limping around here, getting taped up and everything. That's all because of the offensive line, right? Besides the pre-snap stuff, they've been okay.
Yep, and he's done a good job of changing the protections when he needs to. And I said before, our running backs have really protected well. And that's the thing that surprised me about Kobe, not so much his running part, but coming from junior college, the pass protection part. And so they're the piece that's got to make those 5 guys up front right when they make their adjustments. And so they've all worked together extremely well, and we're catching the ball well. We don't have a lot of drops, which is always good. In the past, we've dropped the ball a little bit, and I think that's all has to do a lot with Coach Johnson. He does these little catching drills. They seem like they're simple and elementary, but we do them every day, and they've paid off. We continue to catch the ball well.
Reminder to get your Facebook questions in on the comments section right now. We're going to run through some Twitter questions here in just a minute that we got earlier in the day. But you got to play some of the second and maybe even third stringers, you can tell me, yesterday. That's got to be good. I know you wanted to get Connor in there to get some snaps. He was able to get some work done at quarterback. How many different second string guys played yesterday, and how'd they do?
There was a lot of them. And, that's the good thing is that you can't, no matter what you try to do in practice, bring in officials and put little wagers of running on who wins what drill. You do all that stuff, but nothing makes up for the intensity of game day. And so to get those young players in there and let them play on both sides of the ball, now that's like their first game, since a lot of them didn't get to play the first game. And I think you'll see them improve more and more the more snaps that they get from here on out. But offensively and defensively, we were able to play a lot of young kids.
On to the Twitter questions now here on Sunday Night Overtime with Coach Claeys. These were solicited earlier in the day. We went through them earlier in the day, and we're going to start with Brad, who says that now that you've had a couple of games under your belt, and now you have a bye week to work on some stuff as well, what's the biggest area of improvement that you're looking for, maybe from week 2 to week 3?
I think if you go to defensively, is we have to get back to playing good on third down. That's the one thing when you look at is teams are always going to make plays every now and then, but you can't consistently let teams convert on third down, or you're never going to get off the field. In that case, then you're not going to have the ball a lot on offense. And so we have to play better on third down and get off the field. Then offensively, it's still the pre-snap penalties. We have to get to where those things that we control, we don't have penalties on that part. And so, but the biggest thing is that during the off week, you get everybody healthy and rested up again. And so, it'd be very little practices. We'll practice 2 days out of all of it. There'll be a couple of days in there weightlifting also. From a coach's standpoint, 80% of it's recruiting. We'll all get on the road start about noon on Monday afternoon, and except for me, and I just say the coordinators got to be back for the 2 practices, and And so between the two coordinators and the graduate assistants, we run practice, and you got to have good players to win, and recruiting, you have to do it every day. And so this is our 1 week we get a chance to get out and be at some schools and watch some kids practice and play. So that's what the coaches will be doing.
You say recruiting's like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you start to look ragged. I bring it up because I didn't shave today. That's the only reason. You did.
Yeah.
So you've shaved and you recruited.
Yeah, it's part of the job.
JJ is the next question. There was a familiar face on the sidelines yesterday. He was on the Jumbotron. He was signing books. He was taking pictures. It was Coach Kill. I think I saw you guys catching up a little bit. I don't know if he was sending in an offensive play for you, but what's it like having him back on the sidelines with you?
It's great, to see him down there, and that's in his element, and to see him doing so well. I mean, he's healthy, and he's still involved with football and getting to do it every day, and he's going through an adjustment period, at times, but we still talk every couple of days, and like I say, we're best of friends, and look at each other as part of the family, and so we stay in contact. But it was great to have him on the sidelines, and that just happened to be Kansas State's open weekend, so he could be there, and I think he went around and done some things with his book. And the hardest thing for me, I had to admit, I hadn't bought one, hadn't read one yet, and so that'll have to wait till after the season gets over.
You'd think you, spending 20-plus years with him, all the stories anyway, so it would probably be redundant.
It probably would, but it would also be very entertaining going back and remembering some of those stories.
I believe it. The last question here in the Twitter section has to do with one of your freshmen. You mentioned Tyler Johnson scored a touchdown for the first time. Nathaniel has this question. Did you always want to start him? When did you come about saying, Tyler Johnson's got something here?
Well, I think I told everybody is that it wasn't too smart. We made the tour around the state and with the university and the other head coaches, and I was excited. I mean, I thought we got a steal there, that he played all the other sports, but he wasn't very strong, and everybody thought he was going to play basketball, so I thought we picked up a great player. But at the same time, I was 95% sure we'd have to redshirt him.
Right.
Just because of the weight room and strength, and boy, what a big advantage it is that now you bring kids in the 1st of June and do summer school, and he got to where he lifted and was eating pretty good and put on some weight. He needs to be a lot stronger, but he has a skill set to obviously play and help out now. And so I think we're just seeing the beginning of somebody who is going to get really special. The stronger he gets, the better football player he's going to be. And so, we sat down that 10 days before the first game, and we tried to decide what, and everybody on both sides of the ball is like, hey, we got to play that kid. We can't redshirt him. And it's just amazing how competitive he is and how well he's picked up on things.
We're just getting started here on Sunday Night Overtime with Coach Claeys. The Facebook questions are coming up in just a second, but if you missed yesterday's 58-28 victory over Indiana State, you missed a lot, but don't worry. We've got you covered.
Boom, 2 from the 6. Spins, gives to McCrary. Behind his blockers, dives toward the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota Golden Gophers.
You can count on me. I made a mistake, but you can count on me. And that's what we need. We need to put some count on me. Circle Johnson is home. You guys got that? Right? It's not about them, it's about us. Okay, let's get better at what we do. Hey, I want number 4 now. Let's crank it. Let's go.
It was a beautiful fall day on a late summer day here yesterday. I have a little sunburn on my face, but it was kind of good football weather yesterday, wasn't it?
It really was. And, those 11 a.m. games are hard to get up for, but, once you get to the stadium and get going and then they get done, you still have time to do some other things on Saturday. So as coaches, we like them, but as fans, I know it's awfully difficult at times to make it that early.
My wife likes it as well because I'm home for dinner, so it works out for me. Let's go to the Facebook Live portion now. The questions have been coming in our first segment of the show. We're going to start with Jared. You talked about recruiting a little bit, Coach, but Jason wants to know, how much recruiting are you able to do now that the season has started? This week obviously will be a big emphasis on that, but what about the rest of the weeks? How do you get around?
You know, we've had a couple recruits visit during games, so that's part of during the season starts, but most of it is we're allowed to call each of the recruits once a week. So, you know, 1 week the position coach will do it, 1 week the coordinator will do it, and then I'll try to get in there at least once every 3 weeks and visit with them, but we can text them now that rule got changed, but it is as constant being in contact with those kids, checking up on them. I like to find out how they played each week and send them little notes and that on how they played, but you know, like I said earlier, you got to do it every day, and you can't win without good players, and so it makes it hard with the games, but. You know, the way we do things is each night, you know, I tell the guys I'd like for them to make between 6 and 10 recruiting calls at night on their own, since we leave the office after practice now, and we watch the practice video early the next morning, and so that allows guys to go home and see their kids at night, but they have time to make 6 or 10 calls on their own and say hey to the recruits, and so we have a system that we think works pretty good to stay in touch with them.
Thanks for the question. We talked a lot about offense in the first segment. We're going to move to defense now. Chad wants to know about the secondary. You obviously had to have a couple of kids miss yesterday to be suspended, and you've mixed and matched. You've had some injuries just at linebacker as well. But your thoughts on the secondary overall here through the first couple of weeks? You
know, the first game, I didn't feel too bad about secondary. And, you know, yesterday during the first half, one little tip ball that went to their guy, you know, they had that one play. And so I thought up till halftime we were doing some good things. And then, you know, in the second half, we weren't making plays on the ball at the end, Joe. That last 3 to 5 yards after a ball's thrown, we weren't playing very well, and some of that's probably a little bit of intensity and from getting the big lead. But there's no question we have to play better on the ball and make some plays, knock some of those balls down, you know. And so, but at the same time, first time a lot of those guys got to play, like I said, and I don't care how many times you do it in practice. All of a sudden you're out there on game day doing it, and you don't always do your best that first time out there, but I do think athletically we have the kids to do it. I think mentally wise they're good enough to do it. We got to get them more reps in practice, and I think the more reps in games we get them, the better that they'll get.
Our last Facebook Live question comes from Ryan. We've talked a little bit about the bye the past couple of weeks. Comes at a strange time in that you've only played 2 games in the non-conference season. Good time, bad time, or do you have to make it a good time because it is what it is?
Well, you do. The one thing you have to accept it whenever it is and approach it that way. And, you know, for us, it's probably not a bad time now that we got a chance with some of the injuries and things that we've had happen. So it gives us a chance to get some good fundamental time in with those young kids. And even though we only practice twice, that's pretty much all it is fundamentals and a kicking game. You know, we'll try to get a little bit of a head start on Colorado State with the kicking game, and so it's a great time for there, and then, you know, we'll try to make some final decisions as far as a plan for who's going to redshirt and who's not, and who's going to be in what substitution groups. But as anything in this sport, the way things happen, you know, that's got to be a plan that's adjustable.
And we are 10-plus days away from your next game, but let's wrap up talking a little bit about Colorado State, because there's no show next Sunday night because of the bye. I'm sure some coaches have already looked at some stuff, but do you have even a little primer to give us on the Rams as they come in here? No altitude this time to deal with, like you did a year ago. They get to come here.
No altitude. They're a little bit of a younger team. They've struggled a little bit this year. The team that Coach Bobo inherited with had a lot of upperclassmen to it, and so they're trying to break in some new people. But, you know, they've always played well whenever they have played us, and it's a good school. I think they're one of the schools I think that's trying to get in to the Big 12, and where they'll be able to do that or not. So, you know, we'll have to play well, and you know, injuries again, you know, is Brandon Lingham. He ended up getting injured again, and he ended up breaking his collarbone, and so you know, I hope I don't get 5,000 emails, because it has nothing to do with the surgery and the surgery. Shoulder that held up just fine, but on the seam pass he fell to the ground and with a guy on him and hit his shoulder, and so we got to deal with that, but he'll be back, and like I say, injuries are part of the game, and so it does give us a chance to adjust there, but Waz has played good, and BB's played good, and so we'll be fine. You know, you line up and play at the next person that's available, but where we're at with some of the injuries, we'll get some guys back and we'll be able to make some adjustments.
Congratulations on the 2-0 start. Enjoy the bye week, and we'll see you in a couple of Saturdays.
Appreciate it.
That's the head coach, Tracy Claeys. For all of us here at Sunday Night Overtime at Coach Claeys, we thank you for watching. Congratulations to those who got questions picked either via Twitter earlier today or during our Facebook Live portion. We thank the Minnesota Lottery as always and remind you no show next Sunday night, but we will be back on Facebook Live September 25th at 7 o'clock, the day after the Gophers take on the CSU Rams right here at TCF Bank Stadium. Have a good weekend.